Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast, the podcast and talk show where we have digital discussions from the worlds of TV, film, pop culture, sports, social media, everything really, depending on the guest. We talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On social media, you know me as PD Beats. My guest is an actress. You'll recognize her from a lot of really cool things. She is in a show called Bulge Bracket on Amazon, and she's also dabbled in the horror genre. We love horror movies here on Popternative. We're with Gigi Gustin. Gigi, welcome to Popternative.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
No problem. I mean, kind of icebreaker question. I mean, whether people act, write, perform, you're all storytellers. When did Gigi Gustin decide that she wanted to be a storyteller?
Oh, that's funny. You know what? That's a good question because I was actually sort of born into it, and then I fell out of it, and then I got back into it. So I'll give it a short version of the story. My parents were drama teachers at the church that I grew up in. So we would do Easter plays and I would be singing on stage. And that's actually what I did mostly was I sang. Mm-hmm. And then, also all of the productions that we did, our auditorium would seat over 1,000 people. So they were big plays, a little bit of theater. And then my parents actually got divorced, and so we kind of stopped going to church, and my mom had to get a full-time job, and there was no one to take me up to New York to do the other gigs I was doing. So I was doing Chuck E. Cheese commercials. So I started taking, I know. And then I recently did Dave & Buster's, so I've come full circle. Whoops. But then eventually I started doing singing lessons on my own just because that was kind of my only creative outlet until I kind of finally had the audacity to jump back into the idea of pursuing acting as a real thing and realizing how difficult it would be to get back into it as an adult. Yep. Obstacles that I had no idea I was going to have to overcome, but here I am. So
Absolutely. It's funny you mentioned kind of commercials because I've noticed sometimes we have kind of conversations with people on this show about, the grind of like auditioning for TV and movies. Yeah. I feel like people don't realize like how competitive like commercials are. Like that is crazy. Like people don't realize that's kind of a very competitive market on its own, like TV commercials.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. They're really difficult, but I luck out because I'm good at improv, and a lot of commercials are improv, but I also went to Groundlings. So anyone who goes to Groundlings gets the best training. The Dave & Buster's commercial that I booked, literally what they did is they took photographs of me, and then they just want to know your personality. So they go down the line of people like, hi, Gigi, what do you want for Christmas? And some people go, I want a car. I want a boyfriend. I want a pair of shoes. And I said, I want a pregnant dog so that I can get 10 puppies. So that's like 10 Christmas presents, like all in one sitting. And then they called me 3 hours later and they booked me. So it's like,
wow.
What?
So improv, I'm going to challenge you a bit later. We're going to talk about horror movies. We should do some improv horror stuff on this show right now because I've done it before. But very quickly, I do want to mention Bulge Bracket. This is a TV series. Talk a little bit about it, and before we get, because trust me, we're gonna get full like horror very soon, horror movies and everything. So, but can you just talk a little bit about Bulge Bracket and your character and where people can watch? They can watch on Amazon.
Yeah, absolutely. So Bulge Bracket is a mini series you can watch on Amazon Prime right now. My character is Rosie. Basically, this project, the storyline is we are following our lead protagonist, Kathy, who is trying to be an investment banker in a very competitive workforce that's all men. Everyone is super sexist, and she's trying to break the mold of I'll just put it out there. She's Asian, and she's trying to break the mold of I have to be a lawyer, I have to be this, like telling her parents, this is what I want to do and I can do it. Mm-hmm. And so basically we're following her and all of her obstacles. And then about halfway through the series, I mean, we're already around all these sexist, crazy, the sexist, crazy work environment. She's like the only woman. And then my character comes in basically just because my uncle works at that banker place. and gets me a job. And so I come in and she kind of has to make sure that I'm doing everything right. She's picking up my load, and all the guys are distracted by my character, so they're not getting their work done. So I'm just kind of a wrench in her process, but it's definitely an interesting part of the show. So that character is fun. I'm just the office flirt, but definitely wants to do well, but is completely underqualified for the job.
Oh, absolutely. No, for sure. The workplace shows, I feel like, whether it's a comedy, whether it's a drama, just because even if they're kind of over the top, like The Office, I mean, I feel like the workplace comedy, the workplace shows are just like, all like, because people kind of relate, right? They go to work, they go to a 9 to 5 job, all the people they work with. Like, I feel like they're always going to be popular.
Yeah, and that's the thought too, is when I told a couple people about the show, because we actually filmed about 2 years ago. People were like, but we already have The Office. And I'm like, but these shows are all relatable. And this is a different spin because it follows, a woman trying to navigate the workforce as opposed to, a gang of boys or a group of friends. Now we've got this woman trying to navigate all of these issues that a lot of the times aren't actually talked about. So I thought it was really interesting and a different take on the show.
No, absolutely. So it is no surprise. Well, first of all, it was actually Aaron Dallavilla, who is in Pledge, which is an amazing horror movie, who
Aaron
let me know that it would be a good idea to message you. So thank you, Aaron. Aaron made this interview possible. Just gonna shout out to him. But have you noticed like how popular the genre of horror movies has become, Gigi? Like, it's pretty insane.
Oh, you know what? It's incredible. I love it. You know what? There will always be horror films. They will always be fun. They will always be enjoyable, and they will always be popular. And I actually think that when's the last time someone won an Academy Award for a horror film? But I think they are starting to get a little bit more recognition, and I appreciate that. I love that because it ain't easy to be a great scream queen. It's not.
No, it's not. And I feel like it's I mean, there's because the traditional, it's like the traditional jump scares and the gore and everything. That's kind of like the traditional kind of mecha horror genre. But I feel like the reason why the genre is getting a little more popular is we're realizing that there are more things that scare people. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, yeah.
People are scary. You know what I mean? Especially with everything going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
People are scared of people more than they are of ghosts.
Exactly.
So yeah.
It's interesting because I mentioned Pledge. There's like because of streaming services like Netflix, Amazon Prime, shout out to Shudder. I love Shudder. It's amazing. Oh, yeah. So good. There's like this pocket, like this crop of like movies from 2016 to like 2020, like last 4 years, that are just kind of resurfacing. You know what I mean? Like Pledge, they did that like in 2017, and like people are watching it like crazy because it's on Hulu. Isn't that cool that it like that they kind of work together, a lot of these movies, and kind of allow basically like all of them to kind of be watched because they're resurfacing, because this one, if you like this one, you go watch this one. Have you ever thought about that?
Definitely. The horror community is great because we're a very tight-knit group, and everybody supports each other. Everybody kind of knows everybody. So I love that. I think everybody kind of pushes each other's things. And yeah, of course, it's great. Now I have Amazon. If you watch this, people that watch this also like this. That is definitely an amazing thing. But I also think that a lot of times movies come out that are before their time, and people don't know how to appreciate them. Like when The Shining first came out, nobody liked it. And now it's such a classic, and everyone's like, oh my God, The Shining. But when it first came out, no one watched it. No one liked it. And I just think that it takes a couple of years sometimes for people to have to revisit and reevaluate movies to go, wait a second, how did this slip through the cracks? Because it's actually really good.
I totally agree with you. And then you look at kind of movies like, for example, when I talked to Jamie Kennedy on my show about Scream, I mean,
I met him.
Yeah,
he signed my Scream poster.
That's amazing. But he was saying like just like a genre bending movie, because if you think about that movie, and I think that's why the Scream has such a cult following, is it like was slasher slash comedy slash teen. Like it kind of blended a lot of and horror. It kind of blended a lot of things together. And I feel like a lot of those movies that blend a lot of things are the ones that are becoming most popular, in my opinion.
Definitely, no, because it appeals to a variety of people. It reaches a larger audience. It's like there's something in it for everybody, even if you don't think there is. And that is one reason why Scream is one of my favorite horror franchises. I tried so hard to get a cameo or an audition in the new Scream coming out. Hasn't happened, but I still have my fingers crossed. But wait a second, I have to show you something. Can I go off camera for like 1 second?
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at this.
Is it the signed poster?
You won't be sorry. So I do have the signed poster, and I can go get that. But first,
wow,
this is sick, right? Just so
that's
you know, I'm
awesome.
really a fan. I'm not popping smoke, and then you got to see one more I got. These are killer. No pun intended. This is my shadow box.
Oh my god, that's so cool.
And my poster is actually it's what's it called? All rubber banded up right now, just because I have to get it put into a frame.
Oh, that's fine. That was cool. The knife was cool enough. That's awesome.
It's sick. Like no one will get me because I would just kill them with this. No one will break into my place.
It's no, it's pretty cool, and I find like, and it's weird because Scream's not necessarily like a Halloween movie. Because like Hocus Pocus is like a legit Halloween movie, right? Like it takes place on Halloween, right? But Scream isn't, right? Like it doesn't, but it's everyone watches it around Halloween. You know what I mean?
Because I think Scream is one of those guilty pleasures, even if you're not into horror. Like you can't not watch Scream. It's so good. So you can watch it year round, but Halloween is people's excuse to dabble in and creep back in and see what Ghostface has going on.
You have dabbled and worked in the genre of horror. You mentioned you've been in some horror, some short horror. You've done some short horror films. Talk a little bit about the films that you've done in the horror genre, and then kind of part B to the question. I mean, I recently have been watching a lot of short horror films, and they're incredible. They're amazing. Talk about a little bit of your opinion, what you're seeing as a storyteller in the industry, the rise of short films, specifically in horror as well, because I am seeing that they're becoming a little bit more popular over the years.
For sure. Well, first I'll talk about my first film that I ever did was a short film, and I still think it's great. And I've had more fun on that short film than I have on certain features that I've even worked on. But I do have a short film out right now that the lead is Ashton Yenny from The Human Centipede. I was super excited to be in this film with her, and it's extra scary because it's based on a true story. Aha. And it kind of follows the story of a true story called the Springfield Three, where three women went vanishing, just completely without a trace. No one has any idea what happened to them. And it's nuts. Zero idea. Nothing. And had that happened today, I think that we have the resources to figure it out, but at the time we did not. And so the family still has questions. And so this is kind of our way of having a creative take on the story, where we could talk about what like possibly happened, but also just give people something to remember, to get people talking about it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's been really cool, and the story's really, really interesting, really eerie. It's so funny. After we'd done that short film, I had got cast in a true crime episode of the Springfield Three, and I knew more than all of the producers about it because we did so much research on these characters beforehand. But that film has like swept the circuit. We've gotten, I think, I don't know, like 7 awards and like 7 nominations. We premiered at Scream Fest, and it's been great. And then it's actually set to premiere on Shorts TV this Halloween.
Amazing.
Which will be cool. It's hard to get attention like that for a short film. Everyone does short films to be able to do their feature films.
Now the length of it is it like 7 to 10 minutes? Is that like the length?
That's the thing too. Ours is 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I'm realizing like I'm loving those. Like I'm loving those short films that are like long short films, right? Like shout out to Mark Cartwright and Baker Chase Powell from Glass Cabin Films. They did recently a short horror film called We Die Alone, which is excellent. And it's about 20 minutes. And I find that is excellent. You know what I mean? So I find that's a really good length as well. But yeah, no, the genre is amazing. It's incredible. Okay, now you mentioned improv, so we're gonna challenge you right now. So We're going to do a little bit of improv.
Okay.
So the first thing of improv is you have to decide what the setting is, correct?
Right.
So we're on a phone call.
Okay.
My character is calling your character.
All right.
Okay? And let's see where this goes. Okay. I'm calling you.
Ring, ring, ring.
Hey, Carly, is that you?
Yeah, it's me. What's it look like?
Is Alex there?
No.
But he said he said he was coming to your place. Is he there? I really need to know. You can't bullshit me right now.
Well, I'm sorry, but he's not here right now, and I need you to stop calling me. I've told you this about 10
No,
times.
hold up. It's really important. He was acting really weird. He was saying a lot of weird things. He told us about what you did on Facebook, and it's a conversation for another day, but that wasn't cool. But him and Al and everyone were talking about it, and I think I don't know if you're safe right now.
And what makes you think that even if I wasn't safe, that I couldn't handle myself? This is the exact problem. This is why we can't be together. Because I tell you time and time again that I'm a strong woman. I don't need you, and here you are.
No, but we're not talking about the relationship. We're not talking about that. Wait, what was that?
What do you mean?
Well, I just heard something. I just heard a banging.
Stop messing with me right
No,
now.
I'm not messing with you. Are you okay?
What's your favorite scary movie?
I've seen. Improv's fun. I remember like in camp because we used to do a lot of improv in summer camp. And like I said, I've always been interested in kind of like the like making movies rather than kind of acting, but I always enjoyed improv. And I'm noticing that that's like more people when I talk to them, like you, right? You like talked about like improv and you worked in improv, you went to school in improv. Like I feel like that's becoming a really big thing. It's kind of almost like learning the craft, so to speak.
You know what? I think it's always kind of been a big thing, but people just don't realize it. Have you seen Wolf of Wall Street?
Of course.
You know that scene where Jonah Hill and Leonardo DiCaprio are all super messed up?
That's
like,
improv. That's all improv.
all of it.
Well, there's a show on FX. You know, have you ever heard of the League on FX about?
I definitely heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just basically it's all improv. It's like guys who run like a fantasy football league, and like a bunch of it is just improv. Like Nick Kroll's in it, and it's just a bunch of Mark Duplass. It's like all improv.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. Like literally, apparently, there's some episodes that it's just all improv, like a 25-minute episode.
I'm not surprised. I actually know some directors. I spoke with one on the phone today, actually, who I was like, "Can you send me the script for this project?" And he was like, "Well, just so you know, I don't like to heavily rely on the script." And
That's
what
the
do you
thing
mean?
too. I mean, you have a base. I mean, because I'm also like a really big fan of like the genre of like conversations, right? Kind of like the improv we did, like phone conversations or dinner conversations, right? And a lot of that, because it's just dialogue, right? A lot of that could be that could be improv. Like there could be a script, but there could be a lot of improv as well in those.
Oh, definitely. You know, one thing I love about improv is I actually feel like just acting alone, especially improv, has kind of taught me to even be like a better person. Because one thing that's really important about improv is you can't think ahead of what you're going to say. You have to listen. You have to respond. You have to listen and respond. You can't like, you know, when you're in an argument and you're just waiting to say your next thing, you're waiting for your turn to speak. Well, you can't plan ahead with improv because you don't know what they're going to say. You don't know where the scene is going to go. You have to listen and respond accordingly. Anything else that you are ready to say might go out the window with the next thing that they say. So it forces you to be extremely present. And that's one thing that I think has even helped me in my everyday life to be a better listener.
Absolutely. No, that's really cool. It like life lessons from a lot of that as well. It's really cool. Well, Gigi, thank you so much for coming on Popternative. I really enjoyed chatting with you.
I enjoyed chatting with you too. Thanks for having me. And if you want to get one of these, it's my boy Killer Art. That's what he goes by. His name is Robbie. He's so nice, and I need to get more, but I don't know. Some people come in my house and I'm like, "Is she okay?" I've got posters everywhere. I finally took down my Chucky poster because my friends were like, "Ah!" And I was like, all right. But
no, absolutely. Where can people kind of follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything?
So my Instagram, easy peasy, is just my name, Gigi Gustin, Gigigustin, just how it sounds, and it's just like that everywhere else.
Absolutely. Well,
I
seriously,
make
thank
it
you so
easy for the people.
Oh, for sure. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was awesome.
Thank you. This was awesome.
No problem. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. And until next time, this is Gigi Gustin and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.